Hello, everybody. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program Teacher Certification course. And we'd like to welcome everyone here and everyone that's joining us over the internet and various means of social media. Please be seated if you're standing up. We're going to be continuing tonight in lesson plan, or in the lesson 5, There is Purpose to It All. Hopefully everyone, I know it's been a few days, so we'll probably have to recap a few things, which we normally do in every class, to refresh our minds of the things that we learned before. Chris left off on page 92, but before we start there, we're going to go back to the lesson plan, and we're going to go to page LP5D. LP5D. And we're going to go over number 4 again to refresh our mind about this particular procedure. Chris read it before, but we got to read it again. It says, explain to students that each person must determine their specific purpose in life. We often make this determination based upon the influences, likes, dislikes, strengths, and abilities. For example, we might be influenced to help bring peace to the world because of awareness of the many wars and conflicts around the world. Or they might have seen a show about how pollution is affecting our atmosphere, and this might influence someone to want to help save the environment. So on pages 91 through 93 is where Chris left off, and he was talking about where there is meaning, there is purpose. And it says, have students read the sections and complete the worksheet. Tell students that some people determine their purpose in life while they are quite young. For others, it takes longer. Emphasize that until they do determine their specific purpose, they need to continue developing a positive character and making right choices. Have students read Just So You Know section on page 94 in their handbooks. You know, a lot of us, we didn't realize our purpose in life. I know for me, till I was, probably in my 30s, okay? And so it's not, out of the ordinary, young people, to not really know where you're going at this time or where you want to be, 10, 20 years from now. But you do need you need to know there's purpose, and you need to start being aware of the fact that we all do have a purpose, and, we might not all take the same, we might not all have the same experiences, the same influences, etc. But we need to know what our purpose is so we can set our sights on that goal, on that end goal. Now, on page 92 is where Chris left off, but I want to go back to the first page of the chapter, on page 87. And at the top, there's a thought cloud, and I'd like to put up that first slide so we can kind of illustrate this a little better for you, okay? It says, potential in our youth without moral direction and purpose is much like a derailed train. You see how that train's off the track? That's what our life is like. When we don't have any direction or purpose, we're off the track. We're derailed. We're going nowhere, okay? And we need to, and without that moral direction, which most people don't have because, they might have bits and pieces of a moral direction, but they don't have the moral direction that's taught in the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program, where it's laid out the way it is in this program. And this is why a lot of people, end up, in all these bad scenes that the character unit talked about. Remember, it talked about the bad scenes, the STDs, the divorces, the illegal drug use, etc. All these, the drunk driving, etc. All these things take place when we don't have direction and purpose. We're like a leaf on a windy day, just kind of blowing around, really don't know where we're going, wandering here and there, getting into trouble usually. Getting into trouble, then getting out of trouble, then getting back. It's kind of like a soap opera, right? In and out of trouble. Okay, so Now I want to go over this first paragraph here that says to have purpose in life. This is, and what you should do is underline that because it's showing you what purpose means here. It means to have a positive direction. Positive direction. You see that? Purpose should be positive. Your purpose in life, our purpose in life should be positive. It shouldn't be, I'm going to be the richest cartel leader, in history, or I'm going to be, I'm going to be the greatest pimp that ever walked the avenue. I'm going to have all these girls and all this jewelry and all this money, and I'm going to have all these drugs. This should not be our goal. Our goal should be, and like Chris said in the last class, and I think David went over, we need to be wanting to help and serve others. That's the greatest thing that we could be wanting to achieve in our life, is to help other people, and especially others that are struggling and need to know how to get out of the ditch that they're in right now, because they don't have that moral guidance. They're like that derailed train we just saw. Now it says, knowing your purpose helps you to know what you want to do with your life. How can you tell if there's purpose in someone's life? Look to see if they're motivated and determined to accomplish things. People with purpose strive to learn all they can about a particular subject so they can know best how to proceed. This requires education, not just in a classroom, but also in real life situations. I remember when I was asked to first teach a peaceful solution class, I'd gotten some instruction before that, but I didn't get, this was back in 2002 when I first taught, and I didn't know where I was going to go to teach. I was just asked by the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program Board, could you go to this school and teach this group that's going to be there? And I said, well, sure. I was very nervous, I can tell you that right now, because it was my first time in front of a group, and I wasn't really a people person, where I mean, as far as large groups, and I wasn't sure how I would do, and I was very, very scared. I was very nervous. My heart was racing. But that was exacerbated when when they led me to the library and told me that, the 60 teachers will be here shortly. 60 teachers? Wait a minute. 60 teachers? You're going to have me teaching teachers? They should be teaching me. They're going to be grading me. And then I got really nervous. And I told the person that was with me, that was there to assist me in the technical aspect on the slides, I told him, I don't think I can do this. And he told me, you can do it. If you get through the first minute or so, he said, you'll be fine. I didn't believe him, but I went ahead anyway. And he was right. After about the first minute, I loosened up a little bit, and I felt okay. And I got through it. And I was shocked at the end of the presentation when one of the teachers came up and said, I really liked what you said about, and I thought, you did? I thought I sounded pretty, I didn't think I sounded, but you have to remember the things that you're imparting to people when you teach the peaceful solution. These are moral character traits that many, many people, including the adults, have never considered before. They've never heard these things. Okay? And the way the peaceful solution presents them, it makes, remember that frying pan over the head? It makes you think. And all I was doing was repeating what was in the program, some of the things, that I was giving them an overview about the program. And they were very impressed with the concepts. But you know what? It wasn't me so much they were impressed with, it was the concepts, because I wasn't a speaker. I didn't know what I just knew I had to go and talk about the peaceful solution, which I like to do. But it was then, too, that I really understood, I really like to do this. I'd really like to do this all the time, okay? And I was in my 30s at that time when this took place. Okay, now it says, let's go now. Well, let's see if I have another thing I need to cover on that. Okay, go to page 88. And remember what I said about Chris and David? I think they covered this about, being helping others. It says on the first paragraph, the second, well, let's just read that. It says, have you ever considered how many people you know and see on a regular basis? Your family, friends, and teachers are only some of the people you communicate and interact with daily. What effect do you have on each other's lives? By consciously making an effort to willingly help and share knowledge with others, you can improve their lives and give meaning and purpose to your own. And that's what I was talking about when I realized that, this I want this to be my purpose, to help others, to impart knowledge to others, to help others. Okay. And I thought, well, I don't really know a lot other than what I know, what I've been taught here so far in the Peaceful Solution. And the Peaceful Solution was very young at that time. There was only one book. We didn't have the vast array of books that we have now, and the vast amount of, we didn't have all the teachers, and we didn't have this and that. But, it's grown quite a bit since then, as you know. It says at the bottom, I want to go to the bottom of page 88, and where it talks about, it's up to you to educate yourself about the relevant issues in your area. Ask your parents for permission to get involved, and ask your teachers or principals. And it's talking about, things that you might see where people need help. Whether it be chores, helping out around the house, helping out at school, helping out in your community. It says the first thing you should do is ask your parents for permission to get involved. And, that's a concept we teach the young people in the Peaceful Solution, is you should never take initiative to do something without permission. There's going to be plenty of things that need to be done, and sometimes someone won't lift a finger, and you'll be sitting there going, why isn't anybody taking care of this, or why isn't this being done? But you should always ask first before you take that initiative to do something. It's great to want to do something and take that initiative, just make sure you have permission. And then it says, then ask your teachers or your principal, as well as other community leaders, about ways that people your age can be of assistance. And now, at the top of page 89, it says, think about it. If everyone waited for someone else to pitch in and help, nothing would get done. So take the initiative and be generous with your time. And remember, generous is one of those positive character traits that we learn in the character unit. There's a list of character traits. We'll see them here in a little bit. But generous, that's part of being generous, is being generous with your time, okay? And getting involved. And when you see a need, helping someone, helping to make people's lives better in some way. It says, get involved in extracurricular activities, especially those that will build your awareness about what's going on in society and our world. Then do what's within your power to help. Now, at the bottom of page 89, it says, keeping busy can be done in a variety of ways. It's what you do with counts. Can you show that next slide? I made another illustration for you. There's plenty of things you can do to keep busy. Okay, you can sit there and play video games. You can watch television. You can go out and throw rocks at your neighbor's windows. You can go and shoplift, or there's plenty of things you can do to stay busy, right? But it's what you do that counts. You can be busy doing the wrong thing, and you can be busy doing the right thing. And you see that illustration on the right is the right choice. Those are Peaceful Solution Character Education teenagers going on a news program actually promoting the Peaceful Solution Character Education program. That's something that's lasting, and that's something that is positive. And it's still what they did there is still having an effect today. Okay, because many people saw that broadcast. Let's go to the next slide. Time. I think the last speaker talked about time and how much time we need to be spending our time wisely. There's a man. His name is I believe his last name was Ron, R-O-H-N. Can't remember his first name right off the top of my head. Jim Rohn. He was a motivational speaker. He has some pretty interesting things to say about time. Let's read this one here. He says, time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. Okay? We can't buy time back. We can't get the time back that we've lost. So it's going to be much more valuable than money. And I'm sure, as you get older, I'm thinking, now I'm almost 60 years old. I'll be 60 years old here in a few days. or sometime in the next year, I think. Um, yeah. Um, I'm almost 2 billion seconds old. I checked it out today. I should see. In fact, no. I'm a 1,800,000,000 seconds old, something like that. When I'm 64, I'll be 2 billion seconds old. Now, the average person lives about 2 billion, 700 or 600 million seconds average, which means I don't have a lot of seconds left, right? I'm mindful of that. That doesn't even mean I have that much time left, does it? I'm only assuming I might live that long, but I don't know. My life could be snuffed out at any time. So we need to live every day like it's our last. As far as getting things done, our interactions with people, like we should leave an impression with somebody that they're going to remember that's positive. Because if our last interaction with somebody was negative, that's not going to leave a great memory for somebody, is it? So we should always, live life, as if it's our last day, and use our time wisely, because we can't get that time back. Go to the next slide, because this same guy, now he died, his time was up in 2009. This same guy, Jim Rohn. That's why his quotes about time are really interesting. He says, "Time is our most valuable asset, yet we tend to waste it, kill it, and spend it rather than invest it." You know how people say wasting time, or they say, "I'm just killing some time." We don't have time to kill in the peaceful solution. We should be investing our time in education. If we don't have anything to do, if we're sitting at the bus stop, we should pull out a book and start reading it. Or we should always be doing something to improve ourselves so we can be an asset to other people. Okay? Because it's not just about ourselves gaining knowledge for ourselves, because what if we gain all this knowledge for ourselves but we don't share it with anybody? Right? We should want to gain as much knowledge as we can about everything so we can share what we learn with other people. Okay? Because other people need the knowledge that we have in the peaceful solution, even if it's the tiniest seed of knowledge. Like 2 wrongs don't make a right. Don't retaliate. Retaliation's never the answer. That's something that, they don't hear every day. So when you say that to them, it makes a huge impression in their mind. Because they're hearing different things from Hollywood and in the music industry, And there's one other thing about time here, if you can go to the next slide. In fact, I think it's, it's a quote from page 90 here. It says, "Ordinary people think merely of spending time. Great people think of using it." Like you see here, the author of the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program, who spent every moment working on helping other people to improve themselves. Okay? That's the goal. That's what we should be setting our mind to do, is always be busy doing this sort of work and improving our lives so we can help other people improve their lives as well. Because remember, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power to be able to foresee a problem before it ever, and know how to solve a problem before it even arises. Okay, that's true power. Power is knowing where the pitfalls are going to lie so you can avoid them. So you can avoid all the suffering and the consequences that we see everybody in the world suffering today, because they don't have this knowledge, because they don't know what's causing them to make wrong decisions, which are leading to, the horrible suffering and consequences, whether it's health-wise or financial-wise or any other, wars and fighting, etc., divorces, all those what's called bad scenes that are out there. This teaches you how to avoid them. But it also shows us, if we are in the middle of a bad scene, how to get out of the bad scene, okay? And how to never make that same mistake or that same choice again. Okay, So time is valuable. It needs to be redeemed and not wasted on distractions. There's a lot of distractions out there, that are trying to pull us off, the goal, our purpose in life and our goals that we've set, which we're going to talk about goals in the next chapter. Okay, so on page 91, this is the last page Chris covered. It's where there is meaning, there is purpose. It says another important aspect of accepting that your life has meaning is to determine what your purpose in life is. Everyone's life has purpose. Yes, everyone, not just us. Everybody has a purpose. The problem is that people sometimes get caught up in the daily grind. In other words, they begin to see their daily activities and functions as routine, boring, or monotonous. They fail to realize their interactions are helpful. Well, they should be helpful. Our interactions should be helpful, right? They're not always helpful if we're not practicing the things we're learning here in the Peaceful Solution. Sometimes they're detrimental or they're actually causing somebody else problems. But they should be helpful. It says, they tend to have a life is boring attitude. Life is boring. I deserve to have some fun. Besides, I don't have much of a future, so I might as well live for the moment attitude. Okay, and without purpose, they're going to be like that derailed train, and they're going to put themselves in danger of this drug and alcohol abuse and the premarital sex, and which is going to put them in danger of STDs, which there's 125 of them out there. Okay, and the STDs are not just a nuisance. They're actually life-threatening. They actually destroy organs. Okay, they get in your brain. They stop your heart. They cause a whole myriad of other problems that people don't even know about because they haven't been taught and educated in this moral character education. So remember, it's not just a nuisance. It just doesn't burn or something like that. It's causing a lot of problems. So keep in mind that your life, like everyone else's, is meaningful and has purpose, but it's up to you to determine your purpose. Okay, so now we're going to start on page 92 where we left off last time, and it's called Determining Your Purpose. Okay, it says, many people wonder at some point in their lives what the future holds for them. If you too have ever wondered who you are and what your purpose is, then join the crowd. Were you meant to play a significant role in world events, to set new records, or to be the inventor of technology that could revolutionize our world? Sorry, I got a fly buzzing around me. Time, education, and determination can answer those questions. Meanwhile, understand that having purpose in life does not necessarily mean changing world events or becoming rich and famous. I was reading y'all heard of the Onion News? It's a satire. It's satire. It's not real news. It's kind of fake news, but it's kind of funny. But I read an article on there recently that was actually very true. And it talked about, I think the headline said, 32% of Americans are still not famous. Okay? And it went on to say that, being famous used to be, 30 years ago, being famous was, you became an athlete or a movie star or a singer. They say now all it takes is finding a potato chip shaped like Mother Teresa, or you could be like the man that lived with O.J. Simpson out in the bunkhouse, and a murder took place at his house, and he became famous all of a sudden for being somebody that just laid around at O.J. Simpson's house. Right? Or, you get famous for some really crazy things nowadays, right? I mean, one lady said, my husband became famous because he had the strangest looking beard in America. So they put him in the news, and he was all over the news on Good Morning America and all these other shows, and he became famous because he had a strange looking beard. Right? So there's a lot of famous people out there that are famous for a lot of wrong reasons. I'm sorry, this fly is becoming famous. Hope you got a picture of him. Yeah. So becoming famous is real easy now because a lot of people become famous for the wrong reasons. Okay? But that's not what, the kind of fame that you should, that's not what the peaceful solution teaches about being successful in life. It says, don't confuse purpose in life with having a prestigious career, wealth, or fame. The majority of people in the world are not famous or wealthy. They're simply ordinary people who improve our society and our world by treating others and their possessions with respect, compassion, and consideration. Have you ever met somebody that really, they always ask permission before they touch something that belongs to you, or they're always very respectful to you and, always saying, please, thank you, or, they're always offering to help you in some way, like they're always thinking about you. You ever met somebody like that? Those are famous people to me. Those are successful people to me. And many of them don't have much money in the bank. They can't give me anything monetarily, or they can't offer me a job or anything like that. But the way they treat me, I don't forget it. I don't forget it. And I know you feel the same way about certain people. That's what makes them, that's what elevates them in your eyes. That's what makes them somebody in your eyes, is the way they treat other people. Okay? It says, in fact, one of the greatest purposes that anyone can strive for is reaching their full potential by developing and maintaining a positive moral character and by pursuing a sound education. Education, that's the top character trait in the peaceful solution, as we're going to see in a moment. Education, remember, getting all the facts about a subject and making sure that those facts are correct, because there's also untrue facts. Facts are only facts, but there's true and there's false facts. And we need to determine which ones are true and which ones to throw away. Remember, knowledge is powerful. By simply making this decision, you have already taken a major step towards success. And, remember, success isn't necessarily, it's not how many cars you got in the garage, or, how much money you're making at your job, or, how many friends you have, etc. It's how you treat yourself and other people. That's what you're going to be remembered for, I mean, when all is said and done, when your time runs out, which I hope your time never runs out, but time does run out. The only thing that people are actually going to remember in the long run is how you treated them. Okay? And this is something that we've always got to remember with every interaction we're having with people. Because even the person at the grocery store, you're probably never going to see them again. But they're going to remember you by that one interaction that you had with them. They're going to remember that. Okay? And you might see them again, They might have saw you a couple years ago and you were in the line arguing with somebody at Walmart. Hey, I was in front of you. Hey, no, I was in front of you. And you're arguing about it, and they're sitting there going, oh, okay. And then 2 years later, they see you up here teaching the peaceful solution on the internet. And they're like, wait a minute. That's that guy that I saw arguing in line. Man, I saw that guy somewhere. Yeah, he was arguing with somebody at Walmart. That guy? And now he's teaching the anger management? I'm perplexed. Well, they don't consider, too, that we change. Sometimes we all have a past, right? But they remember that. They're going to remember that. Okay? Just like you remember certain things about people, that you saw in the past. They remember things. So just remember, people are watching. They're always watching. Okay? You're always under the microscope, especially being a peaceful solution teacher or even a student, which is also, we're all students, right? So it says, keep in mind that deciding what you want to do with your life might not come overnight. Recognize your purpose can be a combination of experiences and influences. And remember, an influence is something or someone that has the potential to affect the way we think, feel, and act. And you might be thinking, here's what I want to do with my life. You might already know what your purpose is. But then you have a conversation with one person about a particular subject, or you watch a documentary on TV about a particular thing, And it could change your whole life in an instant. You can say, you know what? That's what I want to do. That's what my purpose is. Man, that's important to me, right? And your whole course might change. You know, your whole purpose can change. So, you know, you might not know what you want to do right now. So, but just be patient. You'll figure it out. Hopefully, if you're sitting here, you already know what your goal is or your purpose in life is, right? It's to help others. So recognize your purpose can be a combination of experiences and influence. Take into consideration issues and subjects that you care about. For instance, you see a documentary about children who are physically, sexually, and emotionally abused, and you are so moved by the plight of these children that your purpose becomes helping stop child abuse. And you know, that's a huge problem, you know. Like even right now, I've been reading about the border crisis they're having, and there's a lot of people coming across the border with children that don't belong to them. They're actually using the children to get through the border. And nobody's really, you know, nobody's really checking to see, are those really those children really belong to that person? And a lot of these children are being used for, you know, very deviant purposes. So there's child abuse going on everywhere, you know, and it's you know, you can read about it, you know where it's going on, you know. I just read the Boy Scouts of America made a huge money payout. You know, we've read about abuses going on in the churches, etc. So, you know, there's a lot of child abuse taking place. It says, or by watching the world news, you become aware of some of the conflicts around the world. And last time I heard there was 40 conflicts going on. There's probably more than that now, because that was a number I heard a few years ago. But there's plenty of wars raging around the world right now. And, you know, by coming here to the Peaceful Solution, by being a student of the Peaceful Solution, believe it or not, you're the one that is beginning to stop all wars. Because the wars have to stop first with us. You know, it doesn't mean we have guns and tanks blazing in our living room or something like that, you know. You know, you're flying over your wife with a B-52 bomber, and, you know, it's not talking about that. The wars can be the arguing, the bickering, the fussing, the fighting in families. The wars can be in our own mind. The war can be between two people at school or at the workplace. Wars sometimes are just words between people. Sometimes you don't even have to speak a word to have a war with somebody. Sometimes you can just give them that look. Or you just think about them in that negative way. You know, you think, you know, how would you like to do this or that to them because they did this or that to you. That's war. You know, that's war. That's thought. And thoughts of war, they lead to war. You know, that's why we need to, you know, the Peaceful Solution is teaching us to get rid of the negative thoughts that we're having about other people. If we're having negative thoughts, we need to change our thoughts to positive thoughts. Now it says, remember, okay, it says, hold on. When these thoughts do come to mind, don't forget that educating the world in the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program will stop all of the above and more. The Peaceful Solution will stop the wars. The Peaceful Solution will stop the child abuse. It'll stop all those things if we learn and then we pass this knowledge on to others. You know, because, and I know I'm dealing with people right now, been dealing with them for years with Child Protective Services. These people are being sent because of child abuse. Okay? And some forms of abuse, you know, I mean, I've had social workers tell me, caseworkers with CPS tell me, you know, I'm sending people to you for things that I've done. You know, like leaving my child in the car for just a moment while I duck into the 7-Eleven to get something to drink, or, you know, something like that. Some things can be as minor as that, and some things can be very, very major, where children are actually, you know, being burned with cigarettes, or being, you know, not allowed to eat for, you know, days on end, or, you know, beat up, or, you know, they're born with drugs in their system, or, you know, there's a whole myriad of things that occur to these children. But all the parents have one thing in common that come to the Peaceful Solution. They have one thing in common. They've never been taught the Peaceful Solution. It's kind of like, what can 10,000 Chinese people do that you can't do? They can speak Chinese. Well, how come they can speak Chinese? Because they've been taught Chinese, right? Well, the only way that you can live the peaceful solution is to be taught the peaceful solution. These people have not been taught. So we can't say, well, they should have known better. Well, when you're 15 years old and you have a baby, okay, and you've never been taught, you're like that derailed train that's never been educated in moral character, and you don't even know what your purpose in life is. You just know you have a baby, and you just know your boyfriend or, the boy that helped you have that baby is no longer around because he left you with the baby, and you're frustrated, and the baby's crying, and you get sick of hearing the baby cry, so you do whatever to get it to be quiet. I can understand that people would do that don't have this education. I can understand that they allow their emotions to run away with them because they haven't been trained. I can understand that now. Before I would have said, well, they need to be locked away. They need to be locked away and the key needs to be thrown away. Really? What did we say about ourselves when we were doing these things? What did we say about ourselves when we were standing in front of the judge? Did we say, lock me away and throw the key away? No. We were wanting some mercy from that judge, right? It's only when it's somebody else. We got to remember, people that haven't been taught the peaceful solution, that's the problem. They haven't been taught. But the peaceful solution will stop all the above and more. It will actually bring peace to your world and to the world around you. But it starts with us. We have to be first trained ourselves, practice these things amongst each other, in our own realm of influence, in our own sphere of influence. We need to practice these things in every interaction that we have, and that's going to ripple out. Remember the ripple effect we talked about in the last book in the character unit? There's a ripple effect of our actions, okay? Whether it's negative or whether it's positive. Now, at the bottom of page 92, it says, evaluating your character will also help you to determine your purpose in life. It doesn't say porpoise, it's purpose. I think everybody should have a porpoise in life, too. They should go and see a porpoise. They're pretty cool animals. Or a dolphin. Dolphins are really neat. Those creatures are really something else. I really love those kind of creatures. Okay, it says, evaluating your character will also help you to determine your purpose in life. This means taking a long, hard, honest look at your actions and behavior toward others. For instance, character traits like compassion and consideration for others, as well as respect for life and the environment, indicate that you care about people, animals, and our world. There are many positive choices you can make for your life. With these attributes, talking about the attributes of, the caring, the consideration, and compassion. In addition to this, evaluating your abilities can also help you to determine the best direction for you to grow towards. For example, do you have leadership abilities? Do you communicate well with others? Are you skillful with your hands, or are you a quick learner? Do you like to study? By choosing the right books to study, you can build your knowledge to the point of being all that you desire. You can also help others do the same. And it is true when people tell you you can be whatever you want to be. Okay, it is true, But if you want to be, if you have that positive purpose in your life and you want to be, you have that positive goal, that positive purpose, you have to choose to really study and get all the knowledge you can about that subject. Okay? You can't know enough about any subject. I know even in the workplace, they have continuing education seminars and stuff in whatever type of profession you're in. They don't say, "Oh, you know everything. You're an accountant, or you're a plumber or electrician, or you're a CEO." They all have some kind of continuing education and conferences that help them to build and add to the knowledge that they already have, okay, to help them improve. By making use of what's offered in the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program, you will not only have knowledge, but you will gain the wisdom to use your knowledge for the betterment of all mankind. And that's what we should want to do with our knowledge, is to help people overcome these negative character traits that are causing harm. Because you have to remember, if you're teaching the Peaceful Solution in your community, in your classroom, you have to know that if you got 20 students or you got 2 students, let me tell you a story. It's not a story, it's a real story. It's a true story. When I was teaching in Laredo, Texas, and I was teaching 2 individuals that eventually crossed one another's paths. But one of them was a Mexican in the Mexican mafia, and the other one was in another syndicate, some kind of Texas syndicate or something. And they got sent to the program by the authorities, by probation. Both of them came and learned the Peaceful Solution. Okay, and they sat through, I think, 17 sessions of the Peaceful Solution. And they really liked what they heard, and they really responded well to it. And I was very shocked because these men were hardened criminals. Okay, and they were still in the Texas syndicate in Texas, in the mafia, in the Mexican mafia. Believe it. Now, does that mean their whole life changed because they came to 17 classes? No. But it made a lasting impression on them. I'll show you how. One night, these 2 individuals were at a party. And it was the drugs, of course, the drug party. Cocaine, I'm sure, because that's what they were into selling, because they were into gangs. They were getting high, and one of them ran into the other one. One wanted to kill the other one because he had double-crossed him in a drug deal. They ran into each other at a party. And he saw that individual. And here's what he told me. His testimony to me was, and they both testified to the same thing. He said, I looked at him and I wanted to kill him because of what he did to me. He said, but I remembered what you said. I remembered what the Peaceful Solution said about 2 wrongs don't make a right, and how if I do this, there's going to be consequences. And you know what? He actually went to that person. He went to the guy and he walked up to him and he said, you know what? I could kill you right now. He says, if it wasn't for the Peaceful Solution, I would kill you. And the other guy goes, the Peaceful Solution? You went to that too? I'm not joking. This is true testimony. Okay? Now, do you see what was averted? What was averted just by that teaching? Someone's life was saved. Someone's loved one didn't have to hear that someone got murdered. The community didn't have to suffer another murder. A lot of people were spared a lot of suffering and anguish, including the perpetrator's family. Because if he would have killed somebody and he goes to prison, his family's going to suffer too. But it was averted from the teaching of the Peaceful Solution. It made a heavy impression on this person. So don't ever think that, you have to remember, and that's just an example of something that's like really sticks out in my mind. But I could go on and on and on about hundreds of things that were averted: theft, assaults, arguments with the wife, arguments with the husband, slapping the child, whatever it would have been. If they had to learn these things, this is the things they'd still be doing. But because of the Peaceful Solution, they all say, you know what? Man, if I'd have known what I know now back when before CPS got involved in my life or whatever, man, I would have never been in that trouble. So now they're living lives that are healthy, okay? And they're not making those same choices anymore. So look at all the problems that are being averted now from the Peaceful Solution, just with that teaching. Those, what we consider sometimes to be, well, that's like common sense, isn't it? Well, no, it's not. It's not common sense. Common sense isn't common anymore, is it? Okay, so don't take for granted these simple things you're learning in the Peaceful Solution. People are not being told these things anymore. They're being told to retaliate. They're being told if it feels good, do it. Whatever's consent, whatever two adults consent to, it's okay, do it. But we're not teaching that in Peaceful Solution. We're teaching stop, think, weigh out your options, and proceed with the right choice that doesn't bring harm to you, your neighbor, or the environment. That's what we're and when you put that in somebody's mind, they remember that stop acronym. You can ask any of the teachers, David, Chris, Catan, okay? They all hear from students about that STOP acronym and how it helped them in a situation to make the right decision and not steal or not hurt somebody or not bring harm to themselves or others. It works, okay? Never take these things for granted. Now, your experiences, influences, abilities, interests, and character all help you to determine your purpose. And let's go to the next slide there. Let's go ahead and skip that slide. There's the character traits from the character unit that we just went over. You notice education is the top trait. But notice it says your experiences, influences, abilities, interests, and character, they're all going to help you to determine your purpose in life. But, you know, that education is tops. You've got to get educated on whatever it is, even if you want to be, let's say you want to be a mediator for divorce in divorce court, or you want to be an anger management instructor, or, you know, whatever. You got to learn to be respectful. You got to learn to mediate. You got to learn to be a leader. You got to learn all these things. You can't just, well, it's easy to mediate. You just get between two people and make sure they don't hurt each other. No, that's like taking a dog between the ears, you know, or taking a dog by the ears, you know. He's going to bite your face. Okay? You got to know, as a mediator, you're not taking sides. You're just trying to make sure that both sides practice a peaceful solution and they come to that compromise. And yeah, you want to make sure neither one of them get hurt, but you got to use the principles taught in the peaceful solution. Now it says, here's some basic examples of purpose. And let's go to the next slide, because I think I have them illustrated on the slide. So here's some basic examples of purpose. To bring peace to the world. Well, how are you going to do that? You know, are you just going to go out and shake everyone's hand and smile at them? Like I've heard, you know, they always ask the girls that win the Miss Universe, so what are you going to do now that you're Miss Universe? I'm going to bring world peace. Well, how are you going to do that? I don't know. I guess I'm just going to go around and show everyone my grill, how great my smile is, and how I look in a bikini. That's going to bring world peace? No, I don't think so. That's going to bring world peace. You see that book right there, that acceptance unit? That's one of the ways you're going to bring world peace. Remember what we just read here, back here. Don't forget, the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program will stop all of these problems. That's what's going to stop the wars, right there. That's going to stop it. But it begins with us getting educated. Or you might want to relieve human suffering. And there's plenty of that. Human, animal, plant, the whole environment is suffering right now, okay? The soil, the atmosphere, the whole world is suffering right now, okay? So there's no shortage of help that's needed. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Here's some more basic examples of purpose. Maybe you want to stop the abuse of animals, like you see there in that picture of that cow being forklifted into a slaughterhouse because it can't get on its feet. It's called a downer cow. A downer cow is a sick cow. But apparently, whoever's raising that cow didn't want to lose any money, so they're going to put that sick cow through the slaughterhouse and they're going to put it on your plate, which is something we're going to learn in the next unit of the Peaceful Solution about, you know, about the food supply and how it's contaminated because of things like this right here. Okay? That's what causes mad cow disease. So they're not only abusing animals in that picture, they're also abusing humans, because the human's going to eat that sick cow. They're going to put it on somebody's plate. Or maybe you want to help improve the environment. You know, right now out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there's what's called the Great Pacific Plastic Garbage Patch. I think it's the size of Texas. That 10 years ago was the size of Texas. I'm sure now it's probably covered about half the United States. It's nothing but plastic, particles. And the fish are eating the particles thinking it's krill, and the fish are dying because they're eating plastic. The birds are eating it because they think it's some kind of krill, and the birds are dying because they got plastic in their stomach. They think they're eating food, but they're just eating plastic, which has no nutrition, and they're dying. You can help alleviate these kind of things. Maybe that's something that you want to do, improve the environment. Or you just want to improve the environment in your home, right? Your bedroom, your bathroom, your kitchen, your living room, by learning the peaceful solution. Because remember, wars are fought at home too, between individuals. Okay, and then it tells you, the next, let's go ahead and go back to the book here. It also tells us here's some basic examples, and then it says, answer the following questions to determine what your purpose in life might be. What are some of your character strengths? What are some of your abilities? What are some of the issues that concern you? And based on your character strengths, abilities, and concerns, write a statement about what you think your purpose in life is. And remember what the book says here. You might not really have an idea yet because you're very young, or you might even be a little bit older and still not know what your purpose is. But that's okay. You just write down right now what you think, your purpose in life might be. Now turn to page 94. It says, just so you know, it says, if you're like most people today, you want to stop the abuse of animals. Tomorrow you're going to want to end starvation and provide homes for the homeless. As you grow, that reminds me of a man. Remember people's actions? You know how you remember people's actions? We have a U.S. president that's still alive today. I think he's probably about 97 or 98 years old. Jimmy Carter, President Carter. That man was doing it while he was president. He was building what's called homes, the Habitat for Humanity. He was involved in that group, building homes for people that didn't have a lot of money. And he's still doing it. He's 90-something years old. He was doing it when he was president. He would put on a work belt and he would go out on the weekends and he would build homes for people that were homeless. He's still doing it. And it's made an impression in my mind about the man. That takes a lot of humility. President of the United States putting on a work belt and going out and building a house? That sounds way below him, doesn't it? I'm the President of the United States. But he's serving other people. Okay, that's his purpose. He found his purpose. His purpose was to help people. And he's been doing it for all these years. I mean, he was president back in 75, 76, and now it's, 2021? How many years ago? 45 years ago? Now it says, as you grow, you'll have a variety of influences that could affect what you hope to do with your life. For example, you meet someone who's in the field of social services. Not knowing what that term means, you ask for an explanation. Based on the information you receive, you think, hey, that sounds pretty neat. I think I'd like that type of work. Your purpose becomes helping people as a social worker and making a difference in the lives of many. Now, can you go back to the slideshow and back up a couple slides to that social service slide? I think I had it in the wrong order. Yeah, right there. Okay. That's the definition of social service, since it says the person found out the definition and it made a difference. Notice what the definition of social service is, because it's very important for us to learn. Social service, according to the free dictionary online, it means organized efforts to advance human welfare. Social work. A service like a counseling or health care provided by a government or by a charitable organization like the Peaceful Solution, especially for disadvantaged people. And that's who we serve in the Peaceful Solution. We serve everybody. Notice the bottom one, though. This is a very important definition. It says social services, organized welfare efforts carried on under professional auspices by trained personnel. Trained. You can't just go out and be a social worker without training. in whatever area you're trying to help in, you have to get the training, right? You know, I've heard it said about peaceful solution instructors, and even our young instructors that go out and teach at the schools. I've heard people that are in very high places say that they're experts. You know that group of women we saw on that slide? They were called experts in moral character education I mean, they were only teenagers, but they were called experts. Why were they called experts? Because the people that heard them, first of all, they got trained, and they're still training. Remember, we're still training now. Even teachers are still training. We're never going to know it all, are we? But they were trained, and they went out and they spoke, and the people that heard them said, these are like experts. Like they know everything about, which they didn't know everything. None of us know everything. But to the people that heard them, they were like, these are some very wise and knowledgeable people. So they called them experts in moral character education. You don't think those women got on that news program? You know, they don't just invite you on a news program. They invited them on that program because they knew they were experts and they were going to schools in that town to teach. And that's what they were telling everyone on the news. These experts from the Peaceful Solution are going to be going to all the schools and they're going to be teaching moral character education from the Peaceful Solution to our children. Okay? So you know, they do recognize, you know, you don't think they're sending people right now to you don't think Child Protective Services in the state of Texas is sending people to us right now because they don't think we're experts, do you? They don't just send people to anything. They're sending people here because they know we know moral character. And you know how they know? You want to know how they know? They see the results. They see the results that come to the people that are learning the Peaceful Solution. They see the results. They see the lives that are changed. They say, you know what? This program's awesome because that person just 3 or 4 weeks ago was trying to avoid me, cussed me out, wouldn't be cooperative with me. I'm talking about caseworkers. They tell us this. They were very rude to me. They cussed me out and just, it's only been 3 or 4 weeks in the Peaceful Solution, and now they're very cooperative and polite and respectful. And I said, yeah, you know, at first they're a little bit scared. They really don't know what's going on. Even when they come to us, they think, you know, we're just another organization that's going to tell them how evil they are and how bad they are. And then when they come to us and we treat them the way you should treat people in the Peaceful Solution, with honor and respect, right? Right away they're like, man, I've never been treated like this before. I'm usually always down by authorities, and I'm always put down and always told what a bad person I am and always made to feel like a worm or whatever, you know, and y'all are treating me like this. That's not normal. Well, it's not normal not to get paid for it either, is it? You remember what Chris said the other night about we don't get money for this? That's one of the biggest things that people could never understand about the Peaceful Solution. They're like, you guys don't get any money? You guys don't get anything for this? What? We do get something for this. We get to see people's lives change, which is worth more than any amount of money. Do you know that? And think about this. Think about this. That's where I'm going to have to stop tonight, by the way. But think about this. Every person that you educate in the Peaceful Solution, you're actually making your environment, your area, your community a safer place to live. Because they're not going to be stealing, they're not going to be assaulting, they're not going to be murdering, they're not going to be doing those things because they've been taught the Peaceful Solution. So you're actually helping yourself too, right? It's a great thing, man. The Peaceful Solution's a win-win for everybody, okay? So that's where I'm going to stop tonight. Today is the 17th, so that means the next class is on the 20th. 10:20 on Wednesday, 10:20 at 5:30 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. We'll see you next time.